Hello everyone and welcome to the sunny coast. It is the Tenpin Premier League Suncity Showdown, and what an exciting event we are about to have. Now, we had more than 30 athletes that were competing across this weekend and from across Australia, including some superstars of the game like Beck Whiting and Jason Belmonte. But we are now down to our Super 8, the final 8 who will be competing today. So all that's left now is to get into the competition and find out who will be crowned the TPL Suncity Showdown competition winner today. Let's get into it.
G'day everyone and welcome to our live coverage of the TPL Suncity Showdown. What a fantastic time we've been having up here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Have a look at those pictures. They are magnificent. I know the weather down south has been fairly terrible for our Sydney and Victorian viewers, but up here in Queensland it's always fantastic. Visit sunshinecoast.com if you want more. These beautiful lanes here are hosting our second event of the TPL Classic. Of course, we had our first event in Wodonga, and then our second event now down here in Suncity Showdown. Let's head to Candy Hertz for an interview.
The number 1 seed, Jared Langford. What an exceptional title you have right now. Congratulations on TPL1 taking out that title. What do you think about the level of competition today?
The level of competition it's really great. We've got Jason Belmonte, widely regarded as the best bowler in the world, here in competition. Some of the best athletes from Queensland, from Australia. Yeah, top tier.
And congratulations, we had a TPL record this morning, the very first time ever perfect bowl 300. How does that help the confidence going in today?
It definitely helps confidence, but at the end of the day, that was before, this is now. I've got to focus on making my shots.
Well, good luck today. We look forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Candy. Appreciate that. And joining me here in commentary, as he did for the TPL in Wodonga, Mike Griffiths, the High Performance Manager for Tenpin Bowling Australia. G'day, Mike. How are you?
Good afternoon, Tony. Good to be back.
It is great to be back. As I tell you what, we had a fantastic day of bowling yesterday. We actually saw our first TPL 300 thanks to Jared Langford. And we come into our final 8. This is going to be pretty special.
We certainly have a talented group of athletes moving through to the finals today here at Suncity Showdown. And as you said, our first ever 300 game in the TPL event was bowled by Jared Langford just earlier today, which was awesome to see in the semi-finals, in his wins getting through to the finals here today.
We'll go through our matchup shortly because there's plenty to talk about. There's some big names in these matchups, including Jason Belmonte. We'll hear more from him a little bit later on, but let's head back down to Candy, and she has another interview for us. Candy, are you ready to go?
We're thrilled to be joined with Grace. Now, you did a smart thing, Grace, and came up a few days early. You've had a good chance to have a go on the lanes. How are you finding them?
So we came up for the World Cup training, and I was also here 2 weeks ago at a different tournament, and they're playing pretty similar, so hopefully that plays to my advantage.
I hope it does for you as well. Now, of course, runner-up, congratulations in TPL1. What sort of motivation does that give you coming into today?
I am a bit more motivated. However, I think the nerves this time will be a bit better, so that's also good.
What will you plan on changing up in your game today?
Mainly just focusing on one shot at a time instead of the fact that there's cameras everywhere.
Well, congratulations again on runners-up position last time. Let's see how Grace can go today.
looking, well, happy in her bowling at the moment, and so she should be. She was one of our finalists, or she was the finalist with Jared Langford in Wodonga, and now they come up to Sun City, and a big chance to be in the final again.
Certainly, she had a wonderful performance down in the first event, and as you can see, she's starting to become a little bit more comfortable with the limelight and having the camera in her face. But she also performed very well today. Our number one youth player in the country, showing what she's made of once again.
The Wodonga Classic was the first ever TPL event held, and the first of 3 TPL events for 2022. As we mentioned, Jared Langford won the event, beating Grace Fay in the Super 8 final. We come up to the Suncity Showdown, and Jason Belmonte, as we mentioned, an inclusion into the Suncity Showdown. Unfortunately, due to the hurricane in the US, Sam Cooley was unable to come back to Australia and take his place. If he had, that would have given us 2 fantastic bowlers in this competition.
Originally on paper, this event was going to have our 2 absolute best athletes sort of competing together on the same lanes. Unfortunately, the weather came in and played its effect, and Sam Cooley's still stuck over there trying to make his way back to Australia.
We'll take you through the format. We started with 29 athletes yesterday afternoon, 16 going through to this morning's semi-finals, 8 of those going through to the Super 8 final. The Super 8 format is pretty simple. Each match consists of 5 frames per bowlers, so it's sort of a T20 of 10-pin bowling, and the winner is the bowler with the highest score at the end of the 5th frame. So points don't matter. In our preliminary matches, it was all about winning your game and getting points. This is all about making sure you get a good score in the 5 frames. If there's a tie, an additional frame will be played until such time as we find a winner. It was a format that worked beautifully in Wodonga.
It certainly did. It's sort of the 100-metre sprint, 100-metre sprint for the 10-pin bowling events, where you need to be quick out of the blocks and don't take your foot off the accelerator for the whole 5 frames, or else you're going to lose.
We spoke about Wodonga and our 2 finalists. Let's have a look at the points for the TPL out of Wodonga. It was Jared Langford who came out with the 100 points, having won that event. Grace Fay with 80 points. Of course, she was runner-up. Sam Cooley and Beck Whiting both made the preliminary finals. They ended up with 60 points each. Unfortunately, Sam's not here, as we mentioned, and unfortunately for Beck, she just missed out.
Just missed out on the points there. It was a very close finish, but she just missed out on making it through to the next stage.
In her round, there were... Blaine Fletcher went through. He went through with 6 points and 3 wins. But Adam Hayes also had 6 points. Beck Whiting also had 6 points. They were separated in the end by average, and pinfall really hurt them there. Blaine Fletcher on 50, Alicia Melton on 50, and then Callum and Emily there also on 40 points each. But it's our first matchup, and what a matchup this is going to be. It is Jared Langford, our winner from the Wodonga Classic, up against Jason Belmonte.
Yes, good to see these 2 come up against each other, and it should be a fantastic match coming up.
So what are we going to see from these 2 guys? Obviously, they know that strikes are of paramount in this 5-frame tournament.
Well, it goes to say, Jason Belmonte, the number 1 bowler in the world, is going to come out firing, and I know Jared will know that. Jared is a left-hander going up against the right-handed Jason Belmonte, so he'll be playing a different part of the lane, but both of them know how to play their game and will be coming out with all guns firing.
And Mike, from what we saw yesterday and also this morning, how are the lanes performing for the bowlers?
Certainly much different lane condition than what they encountered in Wodonga. Here we do have a lot more oil on the lanes, I suppose is what we can call it, but it's also creating a higher scoring condition. So you will see that the scores that they're going to be bowling and the results will or should be a whole lot higher than what they were down in Wodonga.
A New South Welshman, Jason Belmonte, has lived over in the States for a fair bit of his life. He is Australia's premier bowler, there is no doubting that, and great to see him coming up. This is great for Jared Langford as well, just to put his skills up against our premier bowler.
Yep, I suppose being in Australia when you've got your best competing overseas, you don't get to test yourself against the best on Australian soil. So it's great to see Jason here in Australia bowling in the Suncity Showdown and on Australian lanes against some of our other great Australian bowlers, so they can sort of test their wares.
Two very different styles of bowling as well. The left-handed Jared Langford up against the right-handed two-hander. So is he right-handed, left-handed? What is he? I don't know.
Yes, he's a right-handed two-handed bowler. Yes, I would say yes.
Yep, cool. And of course, a totally different side. You can see it here as he comes down and releases the ball. So holds the ball in his palm of his right hand and uses his left hand to get the rotation.
Pretty much it's a little bit deceiving. A lot of people do think the two-handed style is spinning the ball like a rugby throw, but in reality it's sort of a one-handed delivery with no thumb. So in order to keep the hand underneath the ball and not drop the ball, the opposite hand is used to carry the ball
so it's more
through
for
the
guidance.
for the downswing, the backswing, all the way through to the point of the release, at which point the non-bowling hand does remove from the ball, allowing the athlete to roll the ball nicely.
These guys have been pretty much on song in this warm-up session. Jared Langford and Jason Belmonte, the first of our qualifying finals here today. And as I tell you what, the competition is really hot. The second qualifying final, David Porto up against Alicia Melton.
Yes, it's going to be well and truly. I mean, all of those, the top four bowlers in themselves have all had a great run here. Just looking at Jared's run here, I just need to make note that in the semi-final, he did actually shoot games of 278, 289, and as we said, our first 300 game of the TPL event, and that was just in the semis to average 252 for 7 games. So that was absolutely awesome.
Jason Belmonte, on the other hand, 255, 268 were his top 2 games. And then a couple in the 220s and low 200s in his game. So let's head to our first roll. It is Jared Langford up first. Sends it down, the left-hander. Strike to open would be nice. Finishes with a 9.
He wasn't 100% happy with that release, but could have been a little bit of nerves starting off, but he will have a look at what happened and come back strong.
So important for Jared Langford to pick up the spare and continue that through. Open frames in this 5-frame format can really hurt, as we found out at the Wodonga Classic. So Jared Langford on the right-hand lane, looking to pick up the spare, and he does. Just got under it.
I suppose you would say a fairly bread and butter shot for our bowlers of that level. Sparing is, non-forgivable.
So, Jason Belmonte up for his first frame. He'll start on the left-hand side. Bowlers will then alternate lanes, I should say, as we go through the frames of this qualifying final. Belmonte now. First roll for the finals is a beauty. Straight down the middle. Got the movement he wanted and gets the first strike.
And so cool, calm and collected in doing so. You can tell that he's used to doing this on the world scene.
Jared Langford in the back just thought, that's not the way I wanted him to start, but that's all right. Jared's still very much in it with his 9 spare from his first frame. Jason Belmonte looking to bring up a double here in the qualifying final. The winner of this goes straight through to the preliminary final. The loser gets an opportunity into the semis. Belmonte, that's another good-looking ball. Goes Brooklyn, gets the 9.
Not exactly what Jason wanted with that shot too, and as we said, it crossed to the left-hand side of the head pin, what we call a Brooklyn, and he carried 9, but Jason would not have been happy with that shot.
Bread and butter, pick up the single pin left in the spare. Should never be a problem for these guys. Unfortunately, sometimes it is.
Unfortunately, more often than not, especially under pressure.
Is it when you think about it too much?
Yep, pretty much. A lot of these bowlers would be able to get very high rates of spares in their game, but as you say, if they just think the wrong thing at the wrong time, it can result totally different.
Well, Jason Belmonte thought the right thing at the right time there. Got the spare and is a nice way to finish off his second frame. So Jared Langford now moves on to the left-hand side.
Now, surprisingly, if Jared gets a strike here, he has the advantage in this 5-frame game format because he gets to string a whole lot more together.
Let's see if he can do that now. Jared Langford comes in, Second frame, nice ball and nice pickup. First strike for Jared Langford. And the advantage, as Mike said.
Yep, so he's got a chance to string 4 strikes together, or 4 frames together, leading off with a spare, whereas Jason has the strike, then a spare, and has less strikes at the end to finish off.
Both players on 20 after the first frame, but as you heard from Mike, a big opportunity now for Jared Langford to get a double. Let's see if he can do it. Frame 3, rolls it, looking good, looking very good. He gets the double, Jared Langford, and a fantastic start to this qualifying final.
Exactly what Jared was after, exactly what he wanted to get. Jason has some work to do now.
Yeah, and the pressure too. He really needs a strike here, Jason. A spare might just send him on the back foot in this game. Jason Belmonte sends it in. Gee whiz, he responds. Oh, I thought that 7 pin was going to be left hanging. It was for a second.
A solid 7 pin fall, which, as you say, we can turn around and say, look at the scoreboard, it's still a strike. So.
Yes, it is. Doesn't matter how you get him, just get him, and he has. So strike, spare, strike for Jason Belmonte. Would love to follow up with another one now.
He needs at least a double to catch up some of the pins off Jared.
And to put the pressure back on Jared Langford. Belmonte into the 4th frame. Nice, but not nice enough. Gee whiz. That is going to be a very awkward spare for Jason Belmonte to pick up.
He leaves himself a split, or the 4-7-10 split. It is spareable, but it is a very difficult shot to make.
So first on his mind will be to pick up the 2 on the left and then try and get the cut back from one of those pins to take out the 10.
Obviously, after the strike, getting the 2 will add 4 pins to his game, but obviously he would also like to pick up the spare if he could.
Let's see what he can do. Jason Belmonte. Awkward spare to pick up, and he doesn't. Gets those 2 on the left, though.
He certainly kicked the pin. You could see that the pin was kicked across close to the 10 pin, but not exactly as fine as it needed to be.
So, an open frame. We spoke about it earlier. In this format of only 5 frames can be very hurtful. A strike here from Jared Langford, and you would nearly say that would be him into the preliminary final. Langford now, left-hand bowler, sends it down. He liked it, got the jump up, but it just didn't take the 7. Gives himself 9 and still a handy lead.
He quite liked that shot. You could tell that he thought it had a chance, which it certainly did. Came in just a little bit late behind the head pin and chopped behind the head pin and left the 7 pin standing.
Spare needed here for Jared Langford to continue in front in this game against Jason Belmonte. Let's see how he goes. Sends it down. Does it. Nice and easy. Well done, Jared Langford. Gives him a nice advantage.
One more ball just to finish off. Or one more frame, sorry.
Yep, one more frame to finish off. Strike here on the first ball would be very nice. That would take him to a 21-point lead at the end of the 4th.
In his mind, carry every pin he can.
Let's see how he can go. Jared Langford, 5th frame. Gee whiz, that was close. The 7 pin got touched again.
Certainly no luck like what Jason had before with the 7 pin. Didn't happen here, but he's resigned to the fact he'll go out, make the spare, and have the bonus ball at the end.
Well, he's 20 pins up at the end of 4 frames, 88 to 68. So he is very much in front at the moment. Pick up the spare, Jared Langford, and give yourself an extra ball. There's the roll. There's the pickup. And there's one more ball to come for Jared Langford to finish off his 5 frames. But I think we can pretty much safely say he is through to the preliminary final.
He is safely through. with an open against Jason's name, he's got no bonus pinfall coming forward.
So we await now Jared Langford to roll his last ball of this qualifying final, number 1. There it is. And that's nice. That is a ripper. What a great way to finish for Jared Langford with a strike and 108 on the board for him.
Jason will just look at rolling through and getting every pin he can for the last couple of shots.
There's the first roll from Jason Belmonte, a strike. Let's see if he can...
And that said too, at least Jason knows that he's not eliminated. He has a second chance.
Correct. Nice ball there from Jared Langford, that final strike. Belmonte with the roll, another strike. Just unfortunately for him, that open frame in the 4th has really hurt him.
One thing we noticed, Jason struggled on the right-hand lane. Every ball on the left-hand lane has been a strike, I think.
Good pickup.
Yes.
Yep, 1st, 3rd and 5th. Spare in the open frame on the right for Jason Belmonte. Final roll. Down it goes. Will it be a strike? No. Finishes off with a 6. And a win to Jared Langford in this first qualifying final of the Suncity Showdown. That's a solid win.
94. So Jared gets himself a bit of a breather, moves on through. Jason's got another match to win.
So he'd be pretty happy with that, Jared Langford, our winner from the Wodonga Classic. And now sets himself up for a preliminary final showdown as he catches up with Candy Hertz.
Okay. We're ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Jared, congratulations. Welcoming you back here to have a good chat with us. That's an exciting one. How are you feeling?
A little nervous. Jason is the best bowler in the world, but got it done when I needed to.
Well, congratulations. You just won that one. How good does it feel to win against what you just said is the best bowler in the world?
Oh, it's always an honour, just stepping on the same lanes as Jason. So, double that.
And give us a sense of what it feels like in here today. You guys are the first ones to have a match-up. We have an incredible crowd here enjoying it and people at home too. What's your experience so far?
The crowd is amazing. They're all right into the bowling. And you can see between the match and Jason and I, all the crowd's getting into it. I'm sure the people at home are getting into it too.
And straight through to the preliminary finals. For you, any adjustments that you'll make leading into that?
No, I'll just try and keep my cool and make good shots.
Well, he is our number 1 seed at the moment. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Candy. Appreciate that. Congratulations to Jared. Gets the applause from a good little crowd here at the Sunshine Coast. Our next qualifying final number 2. So the winner of this, the same result, will go through to the preliminaries. And it's going to be a nice, tight match, this one, as David Porto takes on Alicia Melton.
Yes, David Porter.
Before we talk about that, we're going to take a quick break. Back with more in just a tick.
Yep, okay, I'll go tell him.
How long does it take to move cameras if we wanted to move that big camera?
And welcome back, the Suncity Showdown here in the Tenpin Premier League. And our next two bowlers are being introduced, David Porto and Alicia Melton. What can you tell us about these two bowlers, Mike?
Two bowlers that have probably been around the traps a fair bit. David Porto's done a fair bit in his years. He's represented Australia a couple of times at the World Cup, winning the Australian Open.
Three-time Australian Open champion.
And so by winning the Australian Open in the past, bowlers did manage to go overseas to the Cubica AMF World Cup and represent Australia at that event. And Alicia Melton is coming from, I call her a local. She's not directly from Suncity Lanes, but she's from Caboolture, which is just slightly south of there. And so it's relatively
she's a Queenslander, we'll call her
she's
a local.
Exactly. So she's on her home turf there. And so both of these bowlers have done very well coming through the qualifying rounds and the semi-final stages. Alicia bowling a wonderful 233 average in the semi-finals.
Fantastic.
To get here. So she's by far the top average in the females, and David Porto led the way. I think it was all day yesterday. He was going very well in his events yesterday. So good to see them both here.
And I've seen David Porto lurking around the Win City Point Cook lanes.
Yes.
His home lane being a Werribee boy.
Yes, he's from a family with a fair bit of pedigree. They were the owners of the Win City Point Cook, recently been sold, but there's certainly been in bowling, and David's been bowling balls since he was a toddler as well.
Yeah, started at 7 years of age, so he's been around lanes for a long, long time. There's no doubt about it. Says his sporting hero is Eric Muzumbabi. Is that the guy that in the 100 metres swimming freestyle at Sydney nearly drowned?
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek, but that's the way Porto is. But he is sort of a bit, well, being a lefty, he's also a little bit from left field. So good to see that he has a hero such as.
I think he might be having a bit of fun with us too, because he says he loves listening to Enrique Iglesias before he goes out to bowl. I'm not sure whether
that one there's probably true. But,
really?
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's some interesting things about David Porto that we can't maybe talk about at the moment. But no, it's good to see that he's here and he's having fun and enjoying his sport.
A couple of titles to her name: Alicia Melton, the Ladies Classic and the Kegel Open.
Yeah, she's actually had a very good year this year, and even just in winning the events that she has and sort of being in the two TPL events, it's good to see that she's firing.
Well, I do like her too with her choice of movies. Favourite movie, The Green Mile and Forrest Gump. Two of my favourites as well.
Both Tom Hanks too.
Very good. Good pickup. Yes. Well done. Our bowlers just finishing their warm-up. Jared Langford defeating Jason Belmonte 108-94 in the first qualifying final. Second qualifying final about to start. It's Alicia Melton up against David Porto. And our bowlers have shook hands, which means they are ready to go. David Porto will be the man to start, and he will do that on the right-hand lane.
Left-hander on the right lane. So once again, we have a lefty versus a right.
So, David Porto now to send his first ball of his qualifying final down. And it's not the strongest start he would have liked, just a 6.
Came in what we call a little bit light or a little bit left of the head pin for a left-hander. He would have liked that to have hit more of the head pin than it did. Leaves what we call a bucket, 4 pins in a group.
All right, let's see if he can fill up his bucket and take these 4 pins out. The toughest pin out of the 4, of course, will be the sleeper. Just behind the 3. There's the roll. Nice. Left the sleeper. Oh! Got the pin come across the lane. It just didn't make the connection he wanted. So he starts off with a 9.
A little bit of animation there from David Porto, which he's renowned for this. So get him bowling well and the animation starts.
Alicia Melton to kick off her qualifying final. Right-hander on the left lane. Sends it down. Good start, a 9.
Very good hit. Very solid in the pocket, the 1-3 pocket for the right-hander. Mind you, the pocket for Alicia is different to the pocket for Porto.
So Alicia Melton using a different ball to pick up the spare, sends it down, and that looks good. It is. Nice start for Alicia Melton. A spare on the left lane in frame 1. She'll make her way to the right-hand lane and start off our second frame.
So once again, as we say, the corner pins in particular, when they leave that, our bowlers are renowned for picking them up.
So up she comes. Alicia Melton gets set for frame number 2 of this qualifying final. It's another good-looking ball. Oh, gee whiz. I thought there was going to be a touch there on the 10 pin and it was going to take it, but it didn't. She's left with another 9.
It certainly looked like she was going to carry. Once she slammed it into pocket, and once again, a cold 10 pin.
But as you can see, courtesy of that spare to kick off for Alicia Melton, she has a nice start. Can she get another spare to her name? She can. The pressure is right on now from Alicia Melton. 2 spares in a row. David Porto needs to start working on that. At least a spare minimum here. Strike would be a good response.
Okay.
So David Porto now sends it down, rolls it, and nearly got the strike that he wanted. But he's got the 9. That sets him up for the spare at least, and that's what he needed as a minimum.
Yep, you're right there. So a nice 9 spare here to keep David in the game. I suppose with Alicia's 2 spares, it does still give him a chance in this game and an opening, but he just needs to spare this one.
And down he comes, sends that left-handed ball down and picks up the spare, so he's right back in it now. David Porto, both bowlers with 9 spare in the second frame. He'll get to lead the way in the third.
Yes, he'll be going up here. We haven't had a strike in this game at this yet, so see if Porto can be the first one to slam in a strike for this match.
So, David Porto now needs to keep on a roll. A spare again as a minimum for him. Somewhere, though, he'll need a strike, I would think. Is this the one? No, it's not. Just a 7 for David Porto.
Opposite to his first ball, that one came in a little bit too high, too much of the head pin, leaving the 3 pins on the left-hand side.
Once again, this should be fairly easy for guys at this level.
Yeah, relatively easy spare. It's basically they just need to get the ball in on the 3 pins. Should be bread and butter.
And there it is. Absolute bread and butter there for David Porto. Gets another spare to his name. But now Alicia Melton with a big opening for her. A strike here could really help her into a preliminary final. Alicia Melton sets up. There's the roll. Cuts in and a 9 again.
Okay, 3 times in a row she's come in and left a cold 10 pin. So she's getting used to sparing these 10 pins on camera, but it's not exactly what she would be after.
No, but it's keeping her moving, which is nice. Gives her a 12 pin advantage after 2 frames. So she needs a spare here, and she does it easily. Well done, Alicia.
Both bowlers will be looking for a strike. Both bowlers will be looking to at least get a few strikes together.
Well, Alicia Melton needs a strike to blow it wide open. David Porto needs a strike to get him back into contention.
That is correct, Tony.
Because at the moment, Alicia Melton, as we said, an 11 pin advantage after the second frame. Let's see what she gets here. Frame number 4 is a good start. That is the way you do it. Alicia Melton answers back with a strike, and that is exactly what she needed, and the pressure right on David Porto.
And just looking at David's face just there, he's thinking, oh no. Now he has to really step up to the mark just to keep with Alicia, and he definitely needs a double or a turkey in order to sort of hit the front.
Yeah, double is a minimum. But the good thing for David is that if he doesn't get the double and loses this, he gets the second chance. Let's see what he can do. David Porto steps up. Frame 4 for him. In goes the lefty, and he pulls out a strike. Anything you can do, I can do just as well.
And he's happy, and you can see it. He's jumping around, starting to show a bit of that animation that I said that is renowned for David Porto.
All right, into the fifth frame. David Porto needs another strike. He needs the double here to keep himself going and put the pressure back on Alicia Melton. What can he do? On the right-hand lane, sends it down. Oh, he's gone wide. Oh, but he picked it up. Gee whiz.
Gee, that was certainly a little bit wider than where Porto needed. He's telling Alicia, that's exactly where I wanted it to go, Alicia. And Alicia's saying, yeah, sure, David.
Could have fooled me. Look at that. That's nearly gone in the gutter. It was that wide. Great ball from David Porto. Well, at least he believes it was. And it was. It was a strike, a double up. Looking for the turkey. Can he get it? That wasn't as wide this time. And that could have been the reason why he's only left. Well, he's only taken 9 and left 1.
So the 7 pin for David is equivalent to the 10 pin for Alicia. And so that one there was a very solid hit in the pocket, but he's left 1 pin standing.
Needs to pick up the pin to give himself a score of 95.
And yes, so spare here makes it 95. It still leaves him potentially a little bit behind Alicia, but it all depends on what Alicia does in the next shot.
Certainly does. Spare there for David Porto to finish off. 95 for him now. Alicia Melton comes in. She's got a strike behind her in the 4th frame. She will look to capitalise on that strike with, hopefully for her, a double. There is the roll. Looks good. And again, just leaves the 10 pin.
You could almost see when it came off the hand, she wasn't quite happy with what she felt. So she probably knew something wasn't quite right there.
Alicia Melton needs to spare this to get her back in front. There it is. She's had practice, plenty of it, and she does it again.
And takes a win. So she's on, yeah.
Yeah, she will. She's, yes, she's 78 after 4.
She needs a good count.
Yeah, exactly.
Good count with the final ball.
A strike will make sure of it, Alicia.
Well and truly.
I'm sure she knows that. Sets up for her final roll in this qualifying final. Alicia Melton to go through to the preliminary finals, and that is an absolute beauty. That is the way you finish off Alicia Melton. Well done. 98. Gives her the win.
It gives herself a nice clap there, but that wasn't more appreciation. It was probably satisfaction that she actually bowled the ball the way she wanted to bowl it from the start.
And a good win there for Alicia Melton. She goes through now to the preliminary finals as the winner. David Porto, though, as we said, a second chance. He will go through to the semi-finals. So our 2 preliminary finalists after our first 2 games. Jared Langford going through, Jason Belmonte into the semis, and we just saw Alicia Melton set up a good win against David Porto. Alicia Melton through the preliminaries, David Porto into the semis.
Yes, and it looks like we've got our next 2 bowlers coming out onto the lanes, but that will be Jamie Robinson and Blaine Fletcher.
Let's head down to Candy, who has Alicia Melton.
2, 1.
Alicia, congratulations. No stranger to this position, having been here as well for TPL 1, straight through to the preliminary finals. How does that do something for your confidence?
That's amazing because last round at Wodonga I again. So this one is a bonus.
Of course, being from your home state, it must be great to be here and familiar with this space. How are you enjoying the bowling here?
I'm actually enjoying it so much. It's lovely to bowl up here. Everybody else has had a great time up here as well. So yeah, it's been good.
And can you give us an idea about the like a really fun game, lots of great interaction from the crowd. How do you keep yourself focused?
I just try and do the best I can, throw one shot at a time. Yes, it was a fun match with quarter. It's great entertainment value for the sport. It's really good to see.
It was incredible entertainment value, and of course amazing to see you make it all the way through to preliminary finals. Congratulations again to Alicia.
We'll take a quick break from the action here at our Suncity Showdown, and we'll be back with plenty more action very shortly. Suncity Showdown, the second of our Tenpin Premier League, our TPL action here in 2022. We come back to Victoria for our third event in around about a month's time or so, but it's the first of our elimination finals. Jamie Robinson up against Blaine Fletcher, and this is do or die. Winner goes through to the preliminary final. Sorry, I should say the winner goes through to the semi-final up against Jason Belmonte. The loser's out.
Yes. Now we start to get to the elimination stages of these matches. If they lose from this point on, they're going to be out and not continuing on.
Two local boys to an extent, both from Brisbane, Queensland.
Yeah, we did say before that if they're from Queensland, we'll call them locals. So they're both locals here competing against each other.
They certainly are. Blaine Fletcher, quality bowler too. He is holding a stellar record of titles. Most recently in 2022, the Queensland World Cup of Champions, and he is looking to add to his list of youth champions. So a very good youth bowler.
Yeah, as a young bowler, Blaine has actually been in Australian teams and done a fair bit. He did have a bit of a break from bowling for a while, but he's coming back just as strong.
He says that Jason Belmonte is one of his bowling heroes. Could be coming up against him in around about 20 minutes' time.
It could be inevitable, yes. So he's a two-hander, just like Belmo, but yeah, he certainly, to come up against your idol in a match like this would be amazing.
And Jamie Robinson, 20-year-old, first started bowling as an 8-year-old. And when he saw a pop-up bowling alley at his local shopping centre in Brisbane, and then just went on from there.
Jamie's had himself a very good year. He's part of our youth bowlers in the youth NTS, and he did actually go across to Sweden earlier this year as part of the World Youth team, the bronze medalists in the teams. So he's had a very good year, and he's been bowling well in the local events as well. Queensland
State Youth Masters champion, ECCC Under-21 Masters champion, and also a win in the Sydney Youth Cup in 2022. So a good year for Jamie Robinson as well. This is going to be a very, very interesting matchup between Blaine and Jamie.
Yes, it certainly will be, and we'll certainly see, as they know, or as we've already said, one of these two bowlers will be eliminated and one will be progressing through the matches.
Our final elimination final will come up after this. It'll be elimination final 2 between Beck Martin and Grace Fay, and Grace Fay knows all about making the final of the TPL. She did it in Wodonga.
She certainly did. Looks like we're about to get started. I think the boys have finished their practice, just waiting for the go.
And it'll be Blaine Fletcher to kick us off in this elimination final.
Looks like Jamie stepping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked
Jamie
like
Robinson,
it was going to be Blaine. Yeah, was going to be Blaine.
He sort of moved forward, didn't he? And then he didn't. So Jamie Robinson to kick us off in this elimination final. What can he pull out first roll of the dice? There it is. Nice looking ball, but an awkward split.
Yeah, you could see the nerves in that delivery there, and he held a bit too tight to the ball, pulled a bit tight, and left himself a split.
So, a tough split to pick up.
The 4-10 split, he needs to be on the far left-hand side of that 4-pin and kick it across the lane into the 10-pin.
Let's see what he can do. Sends it down. That is going to the left, just not left enough. Picked up the left pin and leaves himself an open frame to start off with. Jamie Robinson, 9 off the first frame.
An opening here for Blaine. If he can step up and slam himself in the strike, he'll take the advantage.
Even a spare will give him a foot in the door. A strike gives him a jarred door. Down he comes. Blaine Fletcher. That is a good start for him. What a ripper roll for Blaine Fletcher. Strike first up.
He set up there. He knew exactly what he needed to do when he did it, and he was happy about it.
Beautiful ball there from Blaine Fletcher to kick off his elimination final. Goes straight to the left-hand lane for the second frame with a nice little advantage. Blaine Fletcher, Queenslander, has a Queensland crowd right behind him. Sends it down. Looks good. Is good. Nice double for Blaine Fletcher to kick off this elimination final.
2 strikes to start off the match, and he certainly is starting off exactly the way he did, with a perfect start, 2 strikes.
Yeah, the absolute perfect start, Mike. You're spot on there. Now it's up to Jamie Robinson to make sure he at least spares this second frame. A strike would be very handy for him. Let's see how he goes. Jamie Robinson rolls it down, goes Brooklyn and gets it.
Well, as we said before, that is a strike. It's probably not the most perfect strike or exactly the way he wanted to do, and Blaine gives him a little bit of a sly smile, but it was well and truly crossed the head into the Brooklyn. The pins fell in a weird way, but it's still a strike on the scoreboard.
A very, very weird way there for Jamie Robinson, but he gets it. And that is all that matters at this point in time for Jamie. Now for him, a double would be perfect right in this situation. He's got the confidence of that second roll, that strike behind him. Can he back it up? Sends it down. That looks good also, and it is. That was right in the pocket.
Much better ball, and that's what you need to do. You get a lucky fall, which gives you a strike. You need to follow it up with a much more solid hit and sort of take advantage of that gift in the previous frame.
Well, Blaine Fletcher knows if he wants to stay in front, there's only one thing to do, and that's to get the turkey. That is high on the list of priorities from this ball for Blaine Fletcher. Anything less, and he's back behind, but it doesn't matter. He's staying in front. He is staying in front with another fantastic roll.
Fantastic shot there by Blaine, and you can see the composure. He's actually, he knows exactly what he's going out there to do, and that just shows a bit of past experience.
3 strikes from 3 frames. Could we have our first perfect 150 in the TPL? We didn't get one in Wodonga, did we?
No, not for the 5-frame format, no.
Let's see how he can do it. Blaine Fletcher, strike number 4. Looking for it, searching for it, and finding it! Right there with another perfect ball.
That ball there was probably the best that he's bowled so far. It just was so solid, clean, nothing even looked like it was going to stand.
Look at this on the replay. Just absolute perfection right there on the head pin, in the pocket. None of those pins stood a chance. Jamie Robinson needs to keep it up. Needs a strike. Anything less and it will be pretty much all over for him. There's the roll from Jamie Robinson. That looked good straight out of the hand as well. Another ripper.
That was certainly the best ball that Jamie's bowled, and that was exactly what he needed to. He knew it. He put it in there, slammed the pocket, carried 10.
Certainly did. 5th frame coming up. And gee whiz, if he can extend this to 5 consecutive strikes, Jamie Robinson, the pressure goes back on Blaine Fletcher. Even though he has that advantage at the end of the 4th, he has to at least get the spare to stay up there, Blaine. So this is all on the line now for Jamie Robinson. 5th frame. Can he put himself right up in contention with 3 strikes in this 5th frame? There's the first ball. Just a 9.
He gave it a chance. He put it in there, but once again, cold 10-pin standing. You could tell that he wasn't 100% happy with the shot, but he was hoping it might have carried.
I think you could tell I wasn't 100% happy either. Just a 9. A 9's fantastic, but not in that situation. Jamie Robinson now to spare it up and give himself another ball. He does.
Yeah, in normal games, you've got 10 frames in which sometimes the 9 spares can help keep you going, but in a 5-frame format, it's almost, detrimental to have a 9 spare in the game.
A spare here to take him to 108. And one feels that just won't be enough unless Blaine Fletcher leaves the 5th frame open. And then we've got some working to do. There's the roll from Jamie Robinson. A 9 to finish it off. It's a nice way to do it. 107. The final score for Jamie Robinson. And Blaine Fletcher, 4 strikes.
Still going for that first elusive, perfect 150 game in the 5-frame format.
Oh, I'll be bringing out my darts voice if he gets it. Looking forward to it. Blaine Fletcher, elimination final number 1. Looking forward to going through to the semis. Here's the first roll, 5th frame. Nice, good. Oh, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, could see that just came in a little bit too high, a little bit heavy on the head pin there. I don't think he executed the shot the way he wanted to, but I suppose the pressure was a little bit off. He's pretty much there. He does just need to keep clean and keep a good count.
No, he's looking
He's
good.
already there.
There, he's there. That is straight down the middle. Nice pickup for Blaine Fletcher. And he'll get the extra roll in this fifth frame to finish it off. But he is looking very, very good at the moment. And while he didn't produce the first 150, he's going to produce a very good score. A strike here for the 129. There it is. Sends it down. Just a bit top heavy, wasn't it? Left with the 7, but a beautiful finish from Blaine Fletcher. And a win for Blaine sends him through to the semi-finals. Unfortunately, we say goodbye to Jamie Robinson.
We certainly do. So Jamie's run has finished, but at least he made it this far, and Blaine makes his way through to the next match with this fantastic win.
Fantastic bowling from Blaine Fletcher as we watch a replay of one of the 4 consecutive strikes he rolled. We might even be watching the replay of the 4 consecutive strikes right here. Sent that down on the left lane. It was right in the pocket. Perfect. Jamie Robinson also getting himself a couple of strikes as well in the second, third and fourth frame. And that was one of them right there. As we head down to Candy Hertz, who's got our winner, Blaine Fletcher.
Yes, hello, talking to the microphone, doing a test. 3, 2, 1, hello.
Okay, that's good. Okay, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2.
We've got local
Boy, Blaine with us. Congratulations on that one. It was so close to that perfect game. How proud are you of yourself right now?
Yeah, I'm really stoked. Like, that first game was something I wouldn't expect for the first game on TV in a while. So, you know, the first 4, I was feeling pretty good. Didn't feel too nervous in the 10th frame, I mean the 5th frame technically, but a bit unfortunate with the 4 pin there.
And tell us about your mindset with a crowd like this.
Oh, it's awesome, you know, like, it does add a little bit more pressure knowing that you've got 5 shots to make. The crowd have been great, really supportive. I've got quite a few friends out there, so, you know, it's really, really awesome. I thank you guys so much for coming out today.
And tell us a little bit about how it feels to be in such a Premier League like this.
You know, amongst all these type of bowlers, you know, Jason Belmonte, there's quite a lot to name here, so I won't name them all, but it's surreal. It really is. This is the peak of bowling in Australia, and you can't get any better than this unless you go on overseas, really. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations straight through to the semis for you today.
Yes, thank you very much.
Martin and Grace Fay coming up in just a tick. And welcome back. TPL action here at the Suncity Showdown. It is our 4th event of the day here in the finals. It is elimination final number 2. One of these ladies will go through to the semis and take on Alicia Melton. The other one will say goodbye to the tournament. It's Beck Martin up against Grace Fay.
Yeah, we've got 2 of our ladies here that are from Team Australia going to be competing in the World Cup later in November. So it's certainly a high quality match that we've got here. Grace Fay obviously was in the final against Jared Langford at the last TPL event, with Beck Martin stepping up this tournament and coming up against Grace Fay in this match.
21-year-old Grace Fay, of course, made the final of the TPL in Wodonga.
She certainly did, yeah. She's our number 1 youth player in the country at the moment. She's certainly dominating. She'll be ageing out of youth this year and making her way into the adult ranks. So she's certainly stepping up her game this year and performing fantastic.
And Beck Martin, she's been around a little bit longer.
Yeah, she certainly has been in the NTS squad, or the National Ladies squad, for quite a few years, but she is also in part of Team Australia, and she's had a great year. Since our last TPL event, I think she won the New South Wales Open, a dominant performance up there in Sydney just earlier on this month or
Fantastic.
last month.
And that adds to a New South Wales Open that she won back in 2019 as well. So a 2-time winner of that event is Beck Martin. So youth versus experience.
Yes, well and truly. So we'll see what comes out here. Both of them are champions in their own right. Both of them know how to perform and know what is required. It'll just be who gets, I suppose, I don't want to use the word, but gets luck on the lanes and the carry, and hopefully knows how to control their nerves when they're stepping up and playing the shot in front of the cameras.
And both with some big tournaments ahead of them with the Australian team?
Oh, definitely. We've got the World Cup team coming up. We've got the 4 ladies and the 4 men forming Team Australia, and so they will be part of Team Australia in these same lanes sort of later on in November, starting about the 11th of November this year for the World Cup, IBF World Cup tournament. They'll be donning the green and gold.
Very much looking forward to that tournament here on our lanes here in Australia at Suncity Showdown. A cuddle.
A bit of a, yep, so
and a good luck.
The last bit of friendship, now they're going into opponents, so yeah, opponent stage.
Beck Martin is going to lead it off for us out here on the right-hand lane.
Yep.
She'll send down the first ball of this second elimination final. One goes through, one goes out. Who is it going to be? Beck Martin to set the bar. How high does she set it? First roll. Nice. Nice. Oh, she was 9. That Tenpin is being very resilient in the last couple of games.
Certainly has been, and in particular on that right-hand lane. But yeah, certainly it was a solid hit, entered the pocket, didn't look anything much wrong with the shot, but just leaving that one cold 10-pin.
Change the ball for Beck as well to pick up the spare. We've set it. Should be bread and butter.
Should be.
And she also adds some honey on it as well.
Yes.
Picks it up nice and easy. A spare to kick off for Beck Martin.
Okay, nice solid start there with the 9 spare. Let's see what Grace has got when she steps up. She's been here before on the television lanes.
Currently ranked number 2 in our Tenpin Premier League with 80 points behind Jared Langford, who's on the 100. Let's see what Grace Fay can do to kick it off. Elimination final. Ball number 1 leaves 3 pins, a 7 for her.
Yeah, not exactly where she wanted that one. Was a bit left of the mark. It came in quite high in the head pins, not quite Brooklyn, but yeah, leaving the 3 pins in which to spare.
And a spare would be a nice way to kick it off for Grace, just to make sure that she's right up there and covering off Beck Martin in every aspect. There's the roll. Just picks up the 1. Ouch, that hurts.
Going for the 3-6-10 pin, and she's taken out the 3 on the front. Not quite, a little bit more to the left, a little bit more to the right. Probably would have picked up that spare, but she just came through too solid on the front pin.
So Grace Fay, a 7-1 in the first frame to kick her off. would like to back that up with a strike right here if she can. Great young bowler. Grace Fay comes in. Frame number 2. There's the roll. And a beautiful roll it is too. The crowd right behind her because she gets a strike and the first one of this match.
Fantastic shot there by Grace, and you could see that that was well and truly what she wanted. As much as her expressions don't really show it, she would have been very happy with that shot, knowing it was exactly where she wanted to go. And getting that strike is what she needed after the Open, but she is still behind the 8 ball a little bit with Beck Martin in this match.
Well, it's all back into Beck's court now, isn't it? A spare or a strike here gives her a nice little advantage, an open frame, and Grace right back into it. Beck Martin now, frame number 2, elimination final number 2. And strike number 2 for the game. One for her, one for Grace, both in the second frame.
Very similar shot to her first ball, where once again her first ball wasn't all that bad, leaving the cold 10 pin that time. The 10 pin was one of the last pins to fall, so a very similar shot, but this time it carried.
Yeah, lucky for her. Let's see how we go here for Beck Martin. Can she back it up with a double? First roll in the third frame for our second elimination final. Sends it down. Nice looking ball again, and that is why it was nice looking, because it picked up all 10 pins and a double on the board for Beck Martin.
And that one there was probably the best ball she's bowled, and you could see that that was a whole lot cleaner. All pins fell at the same time rather than having that late falling 10 pin.
Open frame in the first frame for Grace Fay. Needs a strike here to stay in contention. There's the roll. And that is a beautiful ball from Grace Fay. Right in the pocket.
That was a perfect shot. It was so solid. Exactly. You could see the determination there. She was certainly set out there. While she needed the strike, she went out to get the strike. She got the strike.
So Grace Fay needs to keep the pressure going. Can she convert this ball into a turkey? And then put the pressure back on Beck Martin. There's the roll. There's the pins. All down. 10 of them. Another strike. 3 in a row.
And that one there, she turned her back very quickly, almost embarrassed, but that was a Brooklyn's shot. It came to the left-hand side of the head pin, not exactly where she wanted. Wasn't a great shot, but as we said previously, you've got to take that luck when it comes, and she knows it.
It was probably the most explosive of her strikes so far, though.
Well and truly. It was a good carry.
So, Grace Fay with a turkey. Beck Martin now with a chance to do the same. Fourth frame. To keep the advantage her way. Beck Martin sends them down. Nice looking ball, another strike. Fantastic work for Beck Martin.
And that was a fantastic ball. It just showed the cool, calm, collected manner, or the experience of Beck Martin coming in there and slamming that one in, knowing that Grace had just got a lucky strike to get herself a turkey. She now has a turkey and still has the advantage because of the 9 spare in the first. 3
rolls to come in this 5th frame, one would think, for Beck Martin, the way she's bowling. She's got 3 in a row. Can she convert that to number 4? That is a good-looking ball again. Oh, leaves the 10 once more.
Once again, yeah, not quite as solid as the previous couple of shots, but that one there, leaving that cold 10 pin there, which she will need to spare, knowing that Grace is coming in off a turkey. She doesn't want to give Grace that sniff of victory, which you know that Grace could step up and punch in all 3 strikes and take the win.
Oh, well, it's all up to Beck Martin here. Her fate in her hands and in this ball. A spare, and that would probably be nearly about it for her. There's the spare. She picks it up nice. Good work for Beck Martin. She'll have one more roll of the dice as she goes into this 5th frame looking at a possible 119.
Yes, and we're just looking. It's sort of certainly an open match, this. It could go either way.
So Beck Martin final ball for her in this elimination final. A win sends her into a match against David Porto. What can she do? There's the roll. End of the 5th frame is a 7. So that gives her 1-1-6.
1-1-6, so we certainly, so possible, Grace could certainly continue on, but the first ball, the next ball that she has, will determine the fate.
Yep.
Grace does need a strike.
She certainly does. Grace Fay, finalist from the Wodonga Classic, our first ever TPL event. Sends it down in the 5th frame. She's gone Brooklyn again, and that is working for her. Don't shake your head, Grace. Just keep doing it.
That was classic. She said the last one did so well. You told her how well that carried that last one, Tony, and she slammed the next one in exactly the same place in the Brooklyn and got the same result.
I tell you what, this is really interesting. A strike here for Grace gets her up to 98 at the end of the 4th, whereas Beck was 99. So she will need an 8+ in the final ball if she gets a strike here to get the win. Can she set it up? Grace Fay sends it down. A strike needed, and a strike is got. That was more conventional. Same result.
Exactly. That was in the pocket. She's Grace has stepped up and said, I too can bowl pockets. I too can get proper strikes. So she's actually done that there, but benefited on that double of Brooklands that she's had. She knows she's got the win now, and because she's already got 20 in the 10th frame, so
exactly.
She's 119, already. So she's got the win, and well and truly there.
Yep, she certainly is. Well done. A great comeback from Grace Fay after leaving the 1st frame open. She finishes with a split. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Doesn't.
There, and she knew that, but that would not have been nice. But you can see the friendship coming there, and it's not always easy losing when your opponent's shooting Brooklyn strikes. But then in Grace's case, you always take them when they come. We are having an absolute strike fest here at the moment. Grace Fay with 5, Beck Martin with 3, Blaine Fletcher with 4. Gee whiz, they are coming from everywhere at the moment, and these semi-finals are going to be very, very interesting. Unfortunately for Beck Martin, she is out. Grace Fay goes through to the semi-finals, and she's down there with Candy now.
Grace, you are familiar with this position. Well done again, making it through to the finals. What's important to keep in your mind now in this head-to-head competition?
Just relax. I tugged 2 of them, well 3 actually, and I missed a spare, so just stay relaxed and calm.
And it looks like there's some really lovely camaraderie between you all. There was a beautiful hug there at the end. What's it like competing against each other at the moment?
I have so much love and respect for most of the people here. I don't know a lot of them though. So yeah, it's great to bowl with them, and she's also in the World Cup team with me, so.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations once again, Grace.
Thank you very much, Candy. Appreciate that. Grace Fay going through to the semi-finals. She will come up against Blaine Fletcher in just a few minutes' time. So our semi-finals, Jason Belmonte, up against Blaine Fletcher. Alicia Melton, I should say, up against Grace Fay in the second semi-final. We'll come to vision and some action from those games in just a tick right here at the Suncity Showdown. Well, one of the greatest in the world, Australia's greatest Tenpin bowler, Jason Belmonte, spent some time with Candy Hertz yesterday to have a chat about the Suncity Showdown.
Okay, Jace, you just played your first round. Congratulations. How did you enjoy the new format and the level of competition?
Yeah, the format is interesting because every single game you've got to get that win. It doesn't matter about scoring huge games. You just have to get that W. So going across the house, it was fun, interesting, and it was actually nice to see a lot of the young guys out here to see the talent that we have here in Australia at the TPL.
Talk to me about that talent with the TPL. What do you think it's like?
Yeah, when you spend a lot of time overseas, you forget what's here at home. And to come back and to be able to bowl these events and see firsthand, you know, in front of my eyes, these kids are so good. They're so good. I mean, they're so much better than I was at their age at the same time. So I'm really thrilled for Australian bowling to see such amazing athletes out here.
And game 2 now of the TPL. Welcome, we're so thrilled to have you here. How do you think audiences are going to be enjoying this one?
Yeah, I think obviously it's a very strong field. The guys up here on the Sunshine Coast love their bowling. They know their bowling. So I'm pretty sure that as the event goes on, the crowds are going to get thicker and thicker and bigger, and it's going to get louder and louder in here.
All right, anyone who really stood out to you today?
I think David Porto. You know, he had a really strong few games there. He bowled a massive game against me. And the fact that he's obviously playing on the left-hand side of the lane makes it a little trickier for us right-handers to keep up with him. But he really executed well. And I was really impressed to see one of my best mates in the world, Brandon Kowalszewski. So to see him playing, he pushed me there that last game as well, right to the very end. And hoping that, you know, he makes it through to the next round.
And what are you most excited about with the next round?
I think that for me, it's just about getting back on the lanes. You know, I love lacing the shoes up and throwing the ball down the lane. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't do it. So every opportunity that I get to lace them up, I don't take for granted and just really enjoy the moments.
How badly do you want to win this one?
I hate losing. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, TPL, World Cup, or if I'm just bowling against my son at home in practice. I want to win every single time. So the moment that I walk into this place, you know, I'm very focused and ready to bring home the win.
There's no doubt, Mike, that a lot of young Australian bowlers are looking at that man and thinking, well, if he can do it, why can't I?
Exactly, and that's around Australia and around the world. We've got a whole lot of a young group of bowlers that see Jason and take up Tenpin bowling because of him.
And a correction to the semi-finals that I announced before. Alicia Melton actually won that qualifying final, so she goes straight through the preliminary. So David Porto takes on Grace Fay in our next semi-final. But the semi-final up on the boards at the moment, Jason Belmonte up against Blaine Fletcher.
Okay, we've got the battle of the two-handers here, and as you said previously in the previous match, Blaine Fletcher's idol is that man there, Jason Belmonte. So for Blaine to be stepping up bowling against his idol in front of cameras in a semi-final of the Suncity Showdown is just amazing.
It certainly is. I wonder how that's affecting his nerves. I wonder how that's affecting his mindset as he goes into this game.
Jason, obviously having done this around the world and winning so many titles, many of them in front of cameras and so forth, would be a lot more composed and used to this situation. Blaine, on the other hand, would be trying his hardest, would certainly know what he wants to do and know that he can do it, and he has done it in the past, but just sort of stepping up and doing it here today against his idol is going to be a big ask.
Jason Belmonte with a 94 in the qualifying final. Blaine Fletcher with a 126 in the elimination final. I know that doesn't mean much here because it's whatever score they get in this, but it means that Blaine, well, he's in form.
Yes, certainly. As we said, Blaine was actually on his way to the first perfect 150 game before he just missed in the final frame. So this one here, you never know, we might see ourselves our first ever perfect 150 game in the 5-frame format.
I'm promising you the darts commentator's voice if it comes
180,
up.
150.
150, yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
We'll see how we go as these guys start to get through their warm-up. And I think we might be ready for a start. No? Jason was jumping up there. We've got to shake the hands first, exactly. Get the pleasantries out the way. And
we'll see who goes to step up first and who's bowling the first ball, but it'll be a very good match this, so looking forward to it.
Well, Jason stood up before and he stands up again. He'll take the first roll on the right-hand side. Which for Jason before was a little bit dodgy for him. 9 spare 7-2, whereas he got 4 strikes on the left-hand side in that qualifying final. Let's see how he goes this time round. Jason Belmonte to kick off our first semi-final up against Blaine Fletcher. There's the roll. How does he start? With a 9.
A decent ball, and just to recap here that from this point on everything's elimination, so the bowlers do need to win or else they're out of the match or out of the competition from this point on. That was a solid ball by Jason.
Yep, certainly was. Let's see if he can follow it up with a spare in the first frame. Jason Belmonte sends it down. That looks pretty good from here, and it is a spare first up for Jason Belmonte.
I tell you what, yeah, we talk about it being bread and butter shots, but for Jason, it's more like a sandwich already made, I think.
Blaine Fletcher with 4 consecutive strikes to his name in the elimination final. Can he start off the way he did in the first game today? He does! What an absolute ripper of a start for Blaine Fletcher.
Perfect start by Blaine there. He knew this is exactly what he needed to do. Having that strike against Jason's spare is just an added advantage, which he would have never thought he would have had against his idol, being sort of a strike against a spare first up in a 5-frame format.
He is a strike force at the moment, is Blaine Fletcher. From this final series, 5 strikes to his name. Can he make it 6? Blaine Fletcher looking for the double. Oh, it didn't look good to start off with, but then as the pin started to fall, you had a feeling.
Correct, yeah. It came in just that little bit light and was nowhere near as good as his first ball. And as you said, it nearly carried, nearly had a bit of luck like Grace was having.
So, Blaine Fletcher to pick up the 2-pin. Or was it the 5? I think it might have been the 5 actually, but he does it regardless and gets a strike, gets a spare on the board to go to his strike from the first frame.
So Jason knows now exactly what he needs to do and he needs to start working from now.
Jason Belmonte has been through every scenario, I would reckon, as a bowler. So you're spot on, Mike. He knows what to do, and can he do it? He does. That is what you expect from a champion, is a champion response.
100% pure. There was no doubt on that ball whatsoever. He knew exactly what he needed. He went out there and took it.
And takes that slight advantage, as we mentioned before. He now has the strike to carry on for extra strikes on top of that. Blaine Fletcher with the spare in the second frame.
Yes. Yeah, Jason did exactly that, stepping up for his next shot.
Let's see how he goes. Jason Belmonte, frame number 3. 9 spare and a strike in the second frame for him. Can he get the double? Good looking roll in the pocket, leaves the 10. That 10 has been a dodgy pin all day on that lane.
It has been on that right-hand lane for some reason. I think it's nailed down because Jason was actually quite confident with that shot, and you could see a little bit of disappointment when the pin was still there. And but he just has to suck it up and make the spare.
Let's see if he can do it. Sure he can. The 10-pin waiting to be taken out by Jason Belmonte, and he's missed it. You can see that straight away through the head back. And that is interesting.
That is shocking. That is amazing because, I mean, the amount of times that Jason Belmonte would do that when he needed a spare you probably counted less fingers on one hand.
Yeah, exactly. Blaine Fletcher now with a massive opening for him. A strike in the first frame. 9 spare in the second. Can he add another strike to it? It's a good-looking roll, and it's in, right in the pocket, and the second strike in this game for Blaine Fletcher.
Well, that is amazing, and Blaine has got the advantage now with the spare strike, and Jason has the open frame.
That was nearly the perfect ball.
That was. It was a great comeback too, and I suppose knowing that your opponent's just left an open gives you that little bit more confidence, I suppose, a little bit more chin up when you go into the shot, knowing that you can do it and cause some pain.
Jason Belmonte in the background will be going, miss. Let's see what he can do. Blaine Fletcher sends it down, and he gets it. No missing there at all for Blaine Fletcher. A beautiful roll.
Unfortunately for in Jason's case now, it's all in the hands of Blaine, and when Blaine executes shots like that, there's nothing he can do about it. He can go back and get a strike, but he'll still be behind.
Well, an opportunity to get 4 strikes in a row now for Jason Belmonte. He'll need to do that if he is to stay in this game. Frame number 4 is a Brooklyn and 9.
He tried, he was watching Grace, I think, there, and he thought, I'm going to try what she did. Didn't quite work.
Need to try something just to get himself back in the game. Can he pick up the spare? Jason Belmonte on the back foot now, no doubt about it. Rolls it and picks it up.
Yep. As we say, these are sprint matches. They're 5 frames, and it's like a 100-metre race. You miss the start, and it's very hard to win the race.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it was a stumble in the middle. He got the start okay.
Correct.
9 spare strike, but then it was a 9 miss in the 3rd frame that has put him right on the back foot. As he goes into the 5th frame now on the right-hand side, Jason Belmonte, first roll in the 5th, leaves himself 3 to pick up.
Didn't get it wide enough that time too. He needed to get it out there and just didn't quite get the distance on the lane.
All right, let's get a spare here, Jason, and take the final ball. Jason Belmonte rolls that down. That's a better looking roll for the spare. Gets it. Nice work.
Nice coverage of the 3-6-10, which was the 3 pins. We've seen chopped by Grace earlier on, and a couple of other people have left it. So, yep.
The strike here will give him 85, 94 in his qualifying final. So low scoring for Jason Belmonte today. Unfortunately, it will be his downfall in this semi-final. Sends down his final roll. Good looking ball. Still left the 10.
Didn't even care. Anyway, Blaine knows what he's done. He's stepping up here. Let's see how he plays his next shot, knowing that he may have just beaten his idol.
Well, he got 4 strikes in a row in his elimination final. Can he get 5 in a row here? He's got 2. Is that number 3? It is. It really is. The 8 pin didn't want to drop. It took its time, but in the end it said, oh, what the hell.
Yeah, it said, if it's for Blaine, I'm falling down. Yes.
Let it just stay there.
Oh, actually, it was a pin, yeah. It was a pin that was pushed across into the 5-pin position, yes. Yeah, it's sort of deceiving.
Regardless, it went down, and that's 3 strikes in a row. Going for number 4 here, Blaine Fletcher. Nice roll again. Looks good. It is. Fantastic work by Blaine Fletcher. 4 strikes in the elimination final, and he backs it up with 4 strikes in the semi-finals. 1 roll to go.
Yeah, soft falling 7-pin, which actually fell to the right.
For 130 in this game. I thought that 10-pin was going to be stubborn again, and it was. But it fell in the end, and a beautiful finish for Blaine Fletcher as he defeats Jason Belmonte.
A game like that would have been close to beating Jason in his best form, and so just to do that anyway, it was a fantastic game by Blaine. Unfortunate for Jason Belmonte, he has missed this opportunity. He does get eliminated at this point.
130 for Blaine Fletcher. They're getting closer.
Yes, 130. I think that's close to our highest 5
Yeah, I reckon it is too. Let's head down to Candy, who's got our winner.
Congratulations to you, Blaine. You mentioned in our last interview that someone like Jason was someone that you look up to. How proud are you of how you just competed against him?
Yeah, look, you know, I'm really proud of myself, but at the same time, it's a little bit bittersweet. You know, Jason's come out and he's been bowling phenomenally lately. You know, he's got 30 PBA titles. Beating him today in a 5-frame format, you know, could have gone either way. And yeah, it's just really bittersweet because I would love to see him in the final.
Well, it gives us a great sense of the calibre of the competition in here today. How do you keep your calm going into the preliminary final now?
You know, there's a lot of things that could happen. I don't know my opponent just yet. So it's just staying calm, rinse and repeat, you know, just kind of taking my time off the lanes and calming my nerves down a little bit, taking some deep breaths.
Fantastic. Congratulations and good luck in the next round.
Great, thank you.
Good on you, Candy. Thank you for that. The crowd appreciative of a great semi-final there. Blaine Fletcher defeating his hero, Jason Belmonte. He'll put that down as one of his great wins.
He certainly will. And so Blaine moves forward into the final. And so he's going to...
No, he goes through to the preliminary finals now.
Okay, yes.
And he'll take on, I think, Jared Langford. We'll find out in just a tick, though.
Correct,
David
yes.
Porto.
Yes, sorry.
David Porto and Grace Fay to come up next, and we'll show you that in just a tick here at the Suncity Showdown. And welcome back to our coverage of the Suncity Showdown, our second TPL event for 2022. And it is a ripper of a semi-final coming up here. Grace Fay, who of course made the final of the TPL Wodonga Classic a few weeks ago, coming up against David Porto.
Yeah, another two Victorians here that have come up to sunny Queensland to compete against each other. And as was said previously, Grace is coming in with experience from the previous TPL event where she was runner-up. And David Porto, this will be his first run-through in the finals, losing the first match, but he had this second chance to come back and strut his stuff on the lanes.
So our first preliminary final is decided now. It'll be Alicia Melton up against Blaine Fletcher. So the winner of this match here between David Porto and Grace Fay will come up against Jared Langford in the other preliminary final.
Yes, and so, I mean, Grace has already come up against Jared in the final of the last event, so it'd be interesting to see whether it's Grace or David that actually make it through to this match.
Starting to get a very good feel of David Porto's character. He's just a jovial guy, isn't he? That time he simply just rolled a ball down with a heap of spin just to see if he could pick up the spear, and he did, and then pumped his fist to the crowd. He loves the action. It's good to see.
Porto is a showman, and he likes to play for the crowd, which is very entertaining. Great bowler to watch.
And dare I say, Grace Fay near opposite. While she's a show woman, she loves to put on a great event. She's very serious in her sort of demeanour as she's bowling.
Surprisingly, I think it's more of a confidence issue, but yeah, she would, as her personality is there if you do know her.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, she certainly has it.
Well, she's definitely got it when it comes to bowling. There's no doubting there. As does this man, David Porto. He's going to kick off our second semi-final here of the Suncity Showdown. The winner of this match to go through against Jared Langford in the preliminary. First roll of the semis is a beauty. An absolute great start there from David Porto. Kicks it off with a strike.
A little bit of a fist pump to the crowd, but not a lot of animation, or not as much as I thought. Maybe he's holding off until the end of the game, but no, great shot by David there. Soft falling 7-pin, but he got it.
What I do like about Grace Fay is she is happy to soak up the pressure. David Porto with a first strike. Can she respond with one herself? She does. That's exactly what you would expect from Grace Fay.
She's smiling on the inside there, I can guarantee that, Tony.
I think she's smiling on the outside too. She's enjoying it.
She's enjoying.
Not a Brooklyn strike, which she didn't like before, two of them.
That was a very solid solid hit, yeah.
Yeah, it certainly was. Good work from these two bowlers to kick off with a strike each in their first frame. Grace Fay now moves to the right-hand side. She'll take the second frame. To start, Good crowd here today, getting right behind these bowlers. Grace Fay sends it down, and she gives them every reason to get behind her. Another strike, 2 in a row.
Grace has certainly come out to play here. That they were 2 fantastic shots. She knows what she wants to do and knows she needs to do it against Porto. She probably knows Porto very well from competing against him on the local scene.
Well, David Porto, anything you can do, I can do just as well. We're about to find out. Sends it down, and he leaves it with a 9.
Yeah, not exactly what he wanted, and he knew that. A little bit disappointed with himself.
He did straight out of the roll, didn't he?
Yes.
Straight out of the fingers, he knew where that was going.
Yeah. These bowlers have done it enough to know that when they've released or doing a bad shot, they know it right from the start.
So he needs to pick up the spare here, David Porto, to make sure that he is right in there. He does, picks it up.
Okay. He did what he had to do, covered the spare. Now he'll have to regroup, knowing that he's slightly behind because Grace has the double. But if he punches out every shot as a strike from here on, he certainly leaves himself in the game.
So he moves to the right-hand side now, David Porto. Can he back up that spare in the second frame with another strike? And keeps himself well in contention to get through to the preliminaries. Sends it down. Good looking ball. Leaves a 9. There was a couple of pins that went right around it. They just didn't make the connection. And leaves a pin again.
Didn't quite get it there. He crossed the head pin on that particular shot too, into the Brooklyn side. For him, it was actually to the right-hand side of the hairpin, being a left-hander, but it certainly didn't have the mix or carry that the Brooklyns have had for other players.
So, a spare coming up for David Porto. There it is, picks it up. Still remains in contention, but he's going to rely on Grace Fay now to make the mistake and basically let him back in.
Yep. In the normal scheme of things, a strike 9 spare is certainly not a bad start. Just the 5-frame games, it could be costly.
So, Grace Fay, she's got 2 on the board already. Can she make it 3 and a turkey? Yes, she can. She is rolling well today. She had 5 strikes in the elimination final, and she's got 3 on the board here.
The front 3 in this game, and she's going on a perfect track record here. She could be, like Blaine, was going for the first 150 games. She could be our person.
That would be fantastic if she was. 3 in a row. Massive advantage for her. This would pretty much close it off. For Grace Fay, the roll on the right-hand lane is another beauty. She is all over this like a seagull over a hot chip.
Well and truly, fantastic, Grace. It was another fantastic shot. She's been putting them in there, and the carry has been amazing. So good on you, Grace. You're doing exactly what you needed to do, and it's executing perfectly.
Looking a little bit embarrassed too as we see that shot in the background.
Just a little bit. I mean, that's just great.
She shouldn't be, though.
No, exactly. It's just she's doing exactly what she's capable of doing.
Well, David Porto knows what he has to do if he's got any chance. He needs 4 strikes. Doesn't get it, though. Leaves the 7 pin.
Coming in a little bit late behind the head pin, leaving that corner pin, which is a 7 for him. So once again, a little bit disappointed in what he's doing, knowing that he's actually putting in some pretty decent shots, just not carrying.
Yep. So, let's see what happens here.
The spare is all he can do, but I think the horse is already bolted.
Yep, correct. So, David Porto sends that one down and picks up the spare. 3-9 spares for David Porto.
In normal events, as we say, 9 spares are considered the next best things to strikes. But in a 5-frame sprint format, unfortunately, when your opponent has 3 or 4 strikes in a row, it just doesn't count.
And he'll set up for the 5th frame. 5th and final frame coming up now for our 2 bowlers. Grace Fay with 4 strikes in a row. David Porto, a strike to kick him off, and then 3-9 spares. How does he finish up? With a 7.
Not nice at all.
No.
Yeah, through the middle.
Well,
almost resigned to the fact he sort of knows there. We'll see what he does with this shot here, whether he actually goes for it, whether he just sacrifices the frame.
we saw him throw just a very odd ball in the warm-up that picked up a spare. What's he going to do here? Well, he's going to send it on. He did too. He went for it, tried to get the cut.
He was going for it well and truly. He tried to get it wide and sort of have a final finish off. But here goes Grace, stepping up with 4 strikes, going for number 5, and still in the running for a perfect 150 game.
Can she be the first person to get 150 in our TPL, our Tenpin Premier League? She needs a strike here to keep that going. She rolls it. It looks good again. No.
She tried to go to the left-hand side to Brooklyn there. She probably, well, I don't think that was intentional at all, Grace, but you certainly went to the left-hand side again to the Brooklyn, but didn't carry.
No, it didn't. So she leaves herself with 4 pins to pick up on the right-hand side. That 150 remains elusive.
Well and truly.
They've given it a crack, though, a couple of them here, especially this lady, Grace Fay. She gets a spare.
Very solid spare, considering that one also had the sleeper, the one at the back that she had to carry through. Wasn't just the 3-6-10, it was the 3-6-10 with the 9 pin at the back.
And will she finish off with the 126? Yep. Which has matched some good scoring. Blaine Fletcher with a 126 in his elimination final. Grace with a 124.
Yep.
So consistency for her.
Correct. And as we say, I think the highest we've had in the 5-frame format at the moment is 130.
Which was Blaine Fletcher.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just in the last game. So let's have a look and see what Grace Fay can do. Can she finish off with a strike right here? No. Hit the head pin too high.
High and slightly left on the head pin, not quite into the Brooklyn. Porto knows that it was a well-deserved win by Grace.
Certainly was.
Yeah.
A great win by Grace Fay up against David Porto, who is now out of the tournament. And Grace Fay with a 125 to back up her 124 from the elimination final is going great guns. Alicia Melton and Blaine Fletcher up next in our preliminary finals. But before we get to that, let's head down for an interview with Candy and also Grace Fay.
Exceptional work, Grace. When you came off the back of the last game, you weren't as happy with yourself. I'd like to hope that right now you are a lot happier with yourself. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I threw it a lot better that game. I'm much happier. And now we move on to the next one.
Against Alicia for the next one, what are you going to do to prepare for that?
It's the same as the other two. Just make sure I take my time, stay relaxed, and make good shots.
Good. Well, we look forward to seeing you now in the preliminary final coming up next.
And welcome back. Great work there by Grace Fay to get herself through. We're going to head off to a break, and when we come back, we'll have our preliminary finals in just a tick. And welcome back as we have our preliminary finals setting up. It is Jared Langford up against Blaine Fletcher in preliminary final number 1.
Yeah, so certainly we've got a couple of bowlers here that are well and truly on fire. Blaine Fletcher, as we've seen previously, he is shooting very well in the 5-frame format. And Jared Langford, our winner from our last event.
Yeah, he is 100 points to his name and on top of the table at the moment in the TPL for 2022. Another win here would give him 200 points and would make him very favoured, one would have thought, to take out the 2022 TPL, but he's got to get there.
And Jared being the left-hander and coming up against Blaine, the two-hander, who's just beaten Jason Belmonte to get his way here. This would have been a Belmo match.
So, Jared Langford and Blaine Fletcher on there at the moment, but just hearing some word that there may have been a little bit of confusion. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, there's a little bit of something, changes going on. So we'll just keep talking about. Well, Blaine has anyway come from a match where, as we said previously, he has beaten his all-time idol, Jason Belmonte, and he did that very, very well with some good scores. And he is currently holding the highest 130, which is the 5-frame format. And as we said, Jared Langford's just been bowling fantastic in this TPL format and has come off the win.
Jeez, I tell you what, we've got some fantastic youth, haven't we, though, backing up our bowlers at the moment. There is just some good young kids bowling.
There certainly is. I mean, it's always difficult when we say sort of getting the young ones up and through, and they've got to get that exposure. We've got to get them out there bowling against the best of the best and learning their trade. And I just feel that lately Australia is looking good with some of our athletes that are coming up through the juniors and the youth ranks. We've had some juniors over in New Zealand just in the last week or so doing very well, competing at Trans-Tasman Challenge over there. We've also had our youth bowlers getting a bronze medal at the World Championships in Sweden early this year. Plus we've got some young ones that are coming or aging out of youth and moving into the adult ranks that are starting to challenge the ones that have been there for such a long time. And so we've just obviously had a bit of a change there.
Yeah, we have.
There's a mix-up in athletes on the lane, so that's all good. We're just seeing that Grace Fay has stepped up to bowl against Jared Langford, but that's good. But as you say, Grace is one of these ones that I was talking about, the young ones that are coming out of their youth age and that have done fantastic in youth. They've done fantastic in the youth ranks, and now she's stepping up and actually challenging a lot of the adult female bowlers and adult bowlers in the events as well.
So there's our Super 8 ladder, and we're through to the preliminary final stage. Jared Langford up against Grace Fay. Coming up now, David Porto, Blaine Fletcher coming up next, and the two winners will go through to the final of our Super 8 stage here in the Sun City Showdown. Will it be Langford, will it be Fay, who came up in the final of the Wodonga Classic against each other? Would have been lovely to see them again. Actually, Alicia Melton should be in that spot in the preliminary final, not David Porto. He just got knocked out by Grace Fay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so it should be Blaine,
yeah.
Blaine and Alicia. So that's cool there. But anyway, we've got the match that's just about to happen here against Grace Fay and Jared Langford. So this should certainly be a match and a half. This is a replay of the final of our last event.
In Wodonga, yeah.
Yep, where Jared came out the victor. And if I remember correctly, Grace started off a little bit nervous against Jared and struggled, as we said, in the first couple of frames. But then she finished off really strong with a string of strikes.
Yeah,
when it was all too late. So yeah,
you're right, and exactly right. She came home when the pressure was all off, and the crowd and even Jared really got right behind her as well and encouraged her for that win. There's that correction now. So we are right in our preliminary finals.
Yes.
It is Jared Langford and Grace Fay in the first, and then Alicia Melton up against Blaine Fletcher. Two great preliminary finals will give us a fantastic final with a couple of great bowlers very, very shortly.
Looks like they're ready to just about begin, and Grace has come off a great win, so yep, ready to fire. Who's going to step up first? Looks like Jared, not quite sure, not 100% sure there, but we'll be getting started very soon. I'm sure this match is going to be fantastic.
Yep, it certainly will be. I have no doubt about that. It's as you said, a replay of our final. It'll be Jared Langford to kick us off. He'll start on the left-hand lane. First roll for Jared Langford. How is it? It's nice. It's a great start. It's exactly how you want to start. And I think, if I remember correctly, the way he started the final in Wodonga.
Yep, that is correct, and I'm assuming everything's right. He just doesn't seem 100% happy with that, but certainly looked a solid shot.
Yep, no doubt about it. Grace Fay to respond. Her first roll. Down it goes. And another strike for her. Great work there for Grace Fay.
Looks like, I'm not sure, are they still in?
I think they might still be in practice.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about this because there's not very little reaction.
No, correct.
He's on the camera.
So we are still in practice at the moment. Apologies for that, folks. Just a little bit of confusion here as we get into the preliminary finals. So there's the handshake. We should have waited for the handshake.
Yeah, that's where we went wrong, I think. Yeah, we're waiting for the handshake, and it looked like they were stepping up to bowl, so I think we're right there. Here comes Jared.
All right, he's going to start on the right-hand lane. Jared Langford to kick off our preliminary finals. First roll is a beauty. We had him down for a strike before.
He just, repeated the previous shot, and that was a fantastic hit.
We're ahead of our time, Mike.
We are. I think we must be psychic, yes.
So that would mean that Grace Fay now is going to respond with one as well. Let's see if she does. And see if we can pick up from where we left off just a few minutes ago. First frame, a strike for Jared Langford to kick it off. Grace Fay had a fantastic strike run in the second semi, and that Tenpin shaking, it just won't fall.
Wobbling there. So, yeah, it was potentially a strike, but it was also potentially a split there.
Yeah, it was,
wasn't
it?
The other pin standing. So, not exactly what Grace wanted, but she's got a nice solid 9 here. Spare this up, and at least she'll have a 9 spare to start off with the chance of coming back.
Exactly right. So, it could have been worse. It could have been that 8 split. It's not, though. It's a 9. And will she make it a 9 spare? Sends it down, and that looks like she's covered it off. No! Just moved away a bit too much in the end.
Very similar to the start she had in the previous final, when I think she had an open or something in the other TPL final.
That looked like it had the right line for 3/4 of the lane.
Yeah, just slightly missed the execution of the shot.
Well, Grace Fay.
Come on, Grace.
Needs to get herself straight back in here and see what she can do. She needs a strike to cover off the first strike from Jared Langford. Sends it down. There's the roll. In the slot and in the hole. Beautiful work there by Grace Fay. Gives herself a chance again in this preliminary final.
That was 100% Grace. That was, back to her form. Very well, very solid pocket. Very good carry.
All right. Pressure's back now into Jared Langford's court. He has a strike. Nice start, needs to back it up. Does he back it up with a strike? There's the roll, gets the turn and leaves himself with 4 pins to pick up.
Not a good leave at all. And that one there is a bucket being the 4 pins in a bunch. Not the easiest of spares to carry.
Well, especially for the left-hander because of that sleeper.
Exactly, because you've got the back pin too. It's not just a case of going through and hitting the front 3. It's that back pin that often leaves, the back 9 pin in this case.
Well, interesting. Really interesting. Jared Langford sends it down. Does he get the spare? 4 pins to pick up. He does. Did that easy in the end.
Easy. But, yeah, as we say, that potentially could be a difficult spare for some of these bowlers.
No doubt about it. But he got it and made it look, as we said, fairly easy.
Leaves that door just slightly open for Grace after her 9 miss in the first frame. So she's certainly got a chance, depending on what Jared does with this one here. Grace will just need to come back with a double.
First frame strike. Spare in the second. Here's the third. Down it goes. And it's a beauty. An absolute ripper there from Jared Langford. And he is full focus at the moment.
Yep, fantastic shot by Jared. 100% online. Knew exactly what he needed to do.
Grace Fay looking for and needs the double. She got a 9 open in the first. A strike in the second. Third frame up for Grace Fay. Preliminary final it is. And she leaves herself with a 9. A shaky 9.
That was, yeah, a little bit high on the head pin, a little bit close or a little bit not away from the pocket to where she needed to be. That's a 9. She'll spare it up, but once again, she's letting an opportunity slip by. She needed that double in order to catch Jared.
When we're getting to preliminary final stages, you can't leave the door open. She's just closed a little bit, but it's still ajar.
Yes, and you can see that she's starting to let the thoughts get on top of her here, knowing that the distance is probably growing. She's got less frames than she needs in order to catch back in her mind at the moment.
Yep, 11 pin margin after the second frame, 40 to 29 Jared Langford's way. He's got the strike in the third, she's got the spare. So anything less than a strike here probably isn't going to be to her benefit. Grace Fay sends it down. Looks good, is good. Great response there from Grace Fay.
That's what she needed. Yep, definitely a strike in here, and it all depends on what Jared does with the next one. It's in the hands of Jared at the moment because he's got control of the game. But if he does a great shot here, then he retains control.
Yeah, he certainly does. If he leaves it open, though, goodness gracious me, we're in for an enthralling 5th frame. Jared sends it down and picks up a strike. Absolute beautiful ball.
And that makes his double, and that makes it very, very hard for Grace to make it through from this point here. That was a little bit wider than normal, came in from a greater angle and mixed the pins.
He is doing a great job. 3 strikes in the first game for Jared Langford. Then he's come straight through to the preliminary final. He had the semi-finals off after his win over Jason Belmonte. And Jared Langford starts off the 5th. He's on a double. He's now on a turkey. And he loves it too. Look at the emotion.
The fist pump by Jared there, just certainly he knows what he was out to do. He did it. And that ball there, you could just see the carry. Just fantastic mix.
Yeah, absolute great emotion right there. He knew he needed that just to lock it off. And he has done that. And now a turkey to his name in this preliminary final. 4 strikes in the preliminary final. Make that 4 strikes. Gee whiz, they were falling all around and there was one rolling straight for it.
Yeah, the pin nearly took it, I tell you what.
So with 1 pin to get, should get the spare, and that'll be a great finish for him.
Yep, the game, he's home and hosed, making it through.
High scoring for Jared Langford, 108 in the first game, and he finishes off this one with 119. And Grace Fay with still the 5th frame to come for her. Can she finish off with 3 strikes in a row?
Yeah, 3.
Would be
maximum
nice.
109.
Yep.
She can make it.
She'll still go down, but it'll be a great way to finish. Similar to what she did in the final in Wodonga. There's the first one. Great work, great fate.
It's amazing how easy the strikes come when the pressure comes off.
Yep.
And these bowlers can do it, and it's all down to the mental game and the mind games that they're playing with themselves more than anything.
That hit, that was high on the head pin too. I wasn't sure where that was going to finish up.
From our angle, yes, it certainly looked like it was a little bit higher, but it carried. The mix was good.
She's got them from both sides. She's got them from straight down the middle. Grace Fay looking for another strike to add to her collection. She ends up with a 9.
That was just as good a ball and just a corner pin again. But as you say, she scored nothing less than the 9s with her first ball, which most people would say that's great bowling. But unfortunately, in a 5-frame sprint, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And again, someone like Jared Langford certainly isn't even close to being there.
She'd be on for a 200 plus game here in a 10. But she doesn't. She spares it off though, finishes off with 20 pins and a score of 98 to 119. And it's a great win to Jared Langford, who goes through to the final of the Sun City Showdown.
Yep, so almost a similar result to our final match of our last TPL event, where Jared came through as a victor and happened again here.
Let's head down to Candy, who's got our winner, Jared Langford.
Jared, congratulations. We were just watching essentially the rematch of TPL 1 final. Congratulations once again for beating out Grace. How did you do it?
Just had to wait, execute, make good shots. I threw one poor one, but the rest were really good, so got the dub.
And when you chatted to me earlier, you were mentioning about the nerves, trying to keep them really calm. Do you feel like you've done that now, and how are you going to do that going into the final?
It's really all about your processes, just mentally going through everything that you need to do to throw the best shot you can.
And if you had to say something right now to your opponent, what would you say?
Watch out.
Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in the final.
Good on you, Candy. Thank you for that. Jared Langford through to the final. It'll be his 2nd consecutive TPL final, winning the event in Wodonga, and now through to the final of the Sun City Showdown. Our 2nd preliminary final to come up in just a tick. It'll be Alicia Melton up against Blaine Fletcher. Alrighty, our bowlers are stepping up for the 2nd preliminary final. It is that lady, Alicia Melton, up against that man, Blaine Fletcher.
Well and truly, well said there, Tony. Yes, that man versus that woman. And they're both the Queenslanders too, so once again, the locals are going up against each other. Blaine Fletcher has been bowling very well in our 5-frame format here with a couple of very good totals for his wins, and Alicia Melton just being the star that she is and just coming through and winning her way through to this match.
They've both had fantastic runs into this final in this afternoon's action. Alicia Melton getting the win up against David Porto in the first match. That was the qualifying final, so she went straight through to this preliminary, so she's only had the one roll, whereas Blaine Fletcher has been showing great form. A 126 against Jamie Robinson in the elimination final, and then a 130 against Jason Belmonte in the semis.
Yes, well and truly. I mean, Blaine shot probably 2 of the highest 5-frame games that we have had in our 5-frame format, being that the 5-frame format only kick into play sort of for these final matches. And earlier on in the day, we had Alicia, who had been averaging 233 for her 7 games in the semi-final stage in full game format. So she certainly has been firing on these lanes in 5-frame format, and we have Blaine, who's been firing in the shorter version and under the lights and cameras.
The one thing I do know is whoever wins this preliminary final is going to have to be on top of their game as they come up against Jared Langford.
Taking down
in the final.
The lanes,
yeah,
yes.
he is in great form at the moment. It's going to be Blaine Fletcher to kick it off. He's been a bit of a strike force too. A couple of those. Can he kick this one off? With 10 pins he does. Straight down the middle, Blaine Fletcher. Great start.
Started off where he left the previous match with strikes, and very solid hit.
Very solid hit.
Very solid, not a doubt.
Good start. Alicia Melton now needs to cover that off and put the pressure back onto Blaine. First roll for her in this preliminary final. And that is a great start as well. Well done, Alicia.
Very cool, calm, collected. The way she just stands up there, rolls the shot. A lot simpler sort of a shot, but carries just as well.
She's got that Sam Cooley look. She doesn't show much emotion, does she?
Well and truly, yes. A cross between Sam Cooley and Grace.
Yes. Blaine Fletcher, a strike for him. Alicia Melton, a strike for her. Can she make it a double? Here's the second frame roll, and it's not there. It just looked from our angle, as you said before, was a bit too high and left that 10 pin.
Just a little bit, just rolled in that little bit too much at the end and chopped the corner pin, but you could see the little bit of disappointment in Alicia's face there, knowing that she thought she'd executed the shot fairly well, and a little bit disappointed to see that corner pin.
All right. She takes the disappointment out of her mind by picking up the spare.
And covers it very well.
Yep, she does.
Blaine stepping up now to bowl his second frame, knowing that he's got a strike in his first. He'll be going all out if he bowls the shots that he's been bowling and makes this a double. He'll take the lead.
Blaine Fletcher, he's been a strike force, as we said, 4 strikes in the elimination final, 6 strikes in the semis. He's got 1 already. Is this 2? It is. Yeah, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
A similar result to what Alicia had, but certainly a different ball, well and truly. That one there should have, would have, and could have carried.
But didn't.
10. It didn't.
Leaves
the
him
pin
with the 9.
dancing around there. So he has to make his spare just as much as what Alicia did before. And he should do this with his eyes shut.
Sends it down. Spare coming up. Yep, certainly, no doubt. We are level pegging even Stevens.
It's now down to a 3-frame game. So a 5-frame game, they're tied after the first 2. We may as well be bowling a 3-frame game.
Could we go into an extra frame if they're even Stevens scores a level at the end of 5? We go into an extra frame to get a winner in this preliminary final. At the moment, scores a level after 2. Top of the 3rd, Blaine Fletcher sends it down and puts the pressure right back on with a strike.
Very solid hit there by Blaine. You could see that was, well, all 3 shots really have looked identical for Blaine and could have very well carried, but that one there, just so clean.
Just got the knock on the 10 pin and Set that up for the strike. Alicia Melton comes in, looking good for her. It is.
And a fist pump by Alicia there. She knew what she was doing. That was coming back at you, Blaine. Sort of, I can do it too.
Oh boy, how good's this for a preliminary final? We only want the best through to the final, and we're getting it.
Tied after the 3 frames with a spare strike apiece. 40 pins in the second frame, strike in the third, going for a double, both of them.
Alicia Melton now to set up this 4th frame. How does she do it? Looks wide. Yeah, it didn't look good at all, did it, from out of the hand?
No, not at all. And what she's left there is a split. And it's a spareable shot, but it's certainly not what she needed there. Pins being side by side, she needs to place the ball in between the 2 of them.
Let's see how she does it. Those pins remain to be knocked down, and that's a good ball. Gets it. And gets the spare.
100% perfect of how that spare needs to be done. Ball goes to smack bang in between and separates the 2.
So, Blaine Fletcher. A strike here gives him a massive advantage. A spare, if it's a 9 spare, it gives him a 1 pin advantage.
Yes.
So, it's all up for Blaine.
No, just after a single strike, it won't make any difference. So a spare is a spare in this one, yeah.
True, that's true. It's a strike though, doesn't matter, he comes back and says, Alicia, it's all in your court now.
That one there does make a difference.
Makes a massive difference.
The second strike makes it a double. He has now a bonus shot in the first ball of the next shot that adds to those 2 strikes to add to his 3rd frame.
3 strikes out of 4 frames for Blaine Fletcher. He has been on song all tournament, just doing a great job. He's got 3 rolls potentially left in the 5th frame. Here's the first for the turkey. Boom! Ouch.
But that's still 9 pins that gets added into his 3rd frame, so that gives him that advantage over Alicia at this stage.
Yeah, it does.
But then, yeah, it all depends on what Alicia does the first ball of the next one too. So.
Well, it really all depends on what Blaine does here. If he leaves it open, then Alicia's right in it. If he closes it, one would think that a strike in the final ball will probably do it for him. Blaine Fletcher sends it down.
Pin.
Yep, got it. Then gets a spare.
Yes.
Moves to 89 after 4 with a final roll to come. Some great bowling from Blaine Fletcher. 126 in his elimination final, 130 in his semi-final, and potentially finishing off with 109 after 5 frames in this preliminary final. There's the roll. Looking good. Nice positioning. Just finishes off with the 9 though.
9 spare 9 in the 10th frame there, which, as you say, in normal games, that's quite respectable. In this sort of a shortened version, but he did have the slight lead, so it just all depends on Alicia. She does need a strike with the first ball of the next.
3 strikes, and Alicia Newman goes to 110 and will win by Alicia Melton
yes.
Goes to 110 and wins by 2. She needs a strike here to set that up, though. Is it there? It is!
She gets the ball.
Good response from Alicia Melton.
Yep, she gets what she does, but she needs the next strike as well because she is behind Blaine at this stage. But you look at that ball, couldn't fault it. It was perfect.
Yeah, certainly was. A spare here just gives her 100. 2 strikes, 2 more strikes, gives her 110 and a 2-pin victory.
All down to this.
Or she could get a strike 9 to finish off. But she needs a strike here, whichever way you say it. This needs to be a strike, and it is! Oh, you little beauty. Alicia Melton right in there with a massive chance to come up against Jared Langford in the final.
So she needs 8 to tie, 9 to win in the final ball.
We could have that 6th frame, yes. It was so close, so level all the way through the first 2-3 frames. 8 for a draw, 9 for victory, a strike to lock it out. There it is, here it comes, and it'll do. The The strike is what she wanted. Strike is what she got. And she is through to the final.
Exactly there. As we were just saying, the 9 spare 9 would have normally been in any normal game. Quite respectable finish, but it just left that door slightly ajar for Alicia Melton to come through, and you can just see that grit and determination that she has as part of her game that's got her so far.
An amazing finish from Alicia Melton, finishing up with 5 strikes from her 5 frames and 3 in the 5th. Blaine Fletcher goes out with his head held very high. But our winner, Alicia Melton's down there with Candy.
There at the end, how are your nerves?
Oh, very nervous, very nervous. I was trying to control my nerves, but it's very hard.
And with a head-to-head competition like this going into the final, how will your headspace change?
No different. I'll just throw the best shots I can, and if it's good enough, it's good enough.
Now, Jared had an opportunity to say something to his opponent before he knew who his opponent was. Do you have something you'd like to say to him now before you go into the final?
No, nothing. Just go and bowl and see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Congratulations once more, and good luck for the final.
Thank you, Candy. Congratulations to you, Alicia. You are through to the final, up against Jared Langford, and that'll be coming up very shortly right here on our live stream of the Suncity Showdown, the second event in the Tenpin Premier League. And welcome back. We are into our final game of what has been a spectacular Suncity Showdown up on the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. It is Jared Langford up against Alicia Melton.
What a final. I mean, we've had some fantastic matches coming into this. We've got the King of the Lanes, Jared Langford, that's made it through to the final of his second consecutive TPL event and beating some very big names and very good scores in the process. Then we have Alicia Melton, who is the woman that has come through the field, shooting 233 average in her semi-final stage here, and been just coming forward with the strikes when she needed the strikes to actually take the wins.
Jared Langford with 108 in his first game in the Super 8 section, defeating Jason Belmonte, and then he went through to the preliminary final where he beat Grace Fay, the repeat of our final from Wodonga at the Wodonga Classic just a few weeks ago, beat her by 21 pins. For Alicia Melton, it was a win against David Porto in the preliminary finals, which puts Alicia straight through to the preliminary where she defeated Blaine Fletcher. You just saw that one by 2 pins. So both of these bowlers had the semi-finals off, and they're both going to their third game of the afternoon.
Yep, so maybe that's the secret. Maybe you need to get to the semi-finals from a break and come on through, but that is awesome to see.
The other thing too is that both bowlers finished in the top 2 of their groups in the semi-final stage, so they really are in fine form.
Yeah, well and truly. I mean, each of them deserve to be here because they've done the work to get here. They've beaten their opponents when they needed to beat them, like Alicia in the last one, getting 3 strikes in the 10th frame when she had it. And that's what makes the champions, and that's what makes the victories. And it's being able to step up and take the wins when they're there to take.
So the crowd applauding our 2 finalists as they shake hands and wish each other well. It'll be Jared Langford to kick it off, and he'll start on the left-hand lane, I believe. Yep, that is where he's going to start this one. And let's see where he sets the bar for the final of the Suncity Showdown. Ball number 1 is it was a cracker, there's no doubt about it. How that 7-pin stayed up is beyond me.
He liked it. He actually was standing there expecting the pins to carry, and it just came in and shot that corner pin. As we say, the 7-pin to Jared, being a lefty, is equivalent to the 10-pin or the right-hand pin for the right-handers.
So he'll just send this out to the left a little bit and let it straighten up towards the end. There's the roll. There's the straight up, and there is the spare.
Yes, and I mean those corner pins, whether it be a 7-pin or a 10-pin, they're probably the ones that you leave the most when you're bowling well, because of the 9 spares and the chops and so forth, but our bowlers should know how to pick them up.
Well, Jared Langford showed that he definitely knew that. Alicia Melton, with her first roll, is a 9 as well, and she leaves the 10.
Yep, for a right-hander, as we say, just a corner pin. It means that you've put in a decent shot. It may have just come in at a slightly different angle, slightly high, slightly light, meaning high being too close to the head pin, light being too far away from the head pin, things like that.
Alicia Melton with her spare pickup. She gets it. So we've got 2 spares in the first frame for our final bowlers here in the Suncity Showdown. And Alicia Melton will move to the left lane for frame number 2.
Yes. So they're both got a spare. Once again, they're tied in the first frame, moving on to the second frame. Each frame, one less frame to perform in.
Alicia Melton now. Second frame. Nice looking ball. Just a fraction high in the end.
High.
Leaves herself 8.
Right, it was right through the nose or too high on the head pin, wasn't in the pocket, wasn't far enough left to be Brooklyn. So, yeah, leaving the 2 corner pins.
So Jared Langford, the winner from the Wodonga Classic, up here against Alicia Melton, who picks up the spare and keeps that rolling.
Now Jared's stepping up, knowing that if he can put in a strike here, he's going to take a slight advantage over Alicia. He knows what she's capable of doing, especially later parts of the game, and so he wants to take the lead wherever he can.
So a couple of strikes in each of his finals so far. Sends that down. And a great ball there for Jared Langford.
Stepping up, so he's got his 9 spare strike, 20 pins in the first frame, got a strike. It's up to Jared now to step up and try and make this into a double.
Let's see what he can do now. Jared Langford rolls it down. Third frame on the line. Beautiful ball again, but leaves the 7.
Very similar to the first shot that he had in the first frame. Nothing really wrong. Nothing really wrong with that shot. Just leaving the corner pin. May have just come in at a slightly different angle. From the angle that we're sitting, it's a little bit hard to say the angle that it's coming in. If you're right behind the ball, you might see it coming in.
And Joe just looks a little bit confused himself as he just talks to himself about what he just did and how he might be able to rectify it. First thing he needs to do, though, is pick up his spare and keep that run alive as he sends this down. And he picks that up, no problems at all.
Easily done.
Violently picks it up.
Yeah, sometimes, quite a lot of the time, the single pins bowlers will get them quite violently because they're not very happy with them being there.
So Alicia Melton had 50 points to her name after the Wodonga Classic. 100 here to win the final will get her right up towards the top of that ladder. She gets a 9 first up and keeps her spare run alive.
Yeah. That was a decent ball too. It entered the pocket, wasn't really high or light, but you could just see it just came in a little bit late behind the head pin, chopping that corner pin again. So we're talking millimetres here. That's the difference between a strike and a 9 spare.
So a spare here for Alicia Melton. Keeps her right in this game, sends it down, and there it is. So a 3-pin margin after the first 2 frames. A 40 for Jared Langford, a 37 for Alicia Melton, and they're both on a spare in this 3rd frame.
Yes. So it could be anyone's game still. It's certainly not out of the realms for anyone to come up and take the win here.
No, certainly not. Anyway, Alicia Melton to kick off the 4th. Strike here would be nice. Let's see how she does it. Sends it down. That looks good as well, and it is. There it is. She says, yep, I know how to do it. I've just got to get it done.
The moment it came off the hand, you could see that had more rotation. It just had the nice roll, and you could just tell. She said, why haven't I done that before? That's where I needed it. Took me to the 4th frame to do it, but there it is.
All right, let's see what our Jared Langford can do. Our champion from Wodonga sends it down. Nice looking ball and a beautiful response from Jared Langford.
Clean as anything. That just went straight through, wasn't anything to doubt.
And keeps him 3 pins in front after 3 frames, both on strikes after the 4th.
Now, knowing that Jared has striked both times on the right-hand lane, but he's coming up to the lane that he's had 2 corner pins each time. See whether he makes any slight adjustment.
Yeah, you can see it there. 9 spare in the 1st, 9 spare in the 3rd. Into the 5th, on the left lane, sends it down. 9 or 10? Just a 9 again, but it's a different pin he left.
He made an adjustment, but now it's left another pin. So that time there, you could just tell that he thought, I've done something different here. I wasn't 100% confident that he thought it was a great shot, but yeah, he certainly was hoping for the mix.
Needs to spare this up to stay in front. Jared Langford sends it down and picks it up. Good pick-up, good spare for Jared Langford.
We might actually be in a situation here that Alicia can step up and shoot 3 strikes like the previous game to take the victory by a few pins.
So a strike here for Jared Langford will take him to 100. 3 strikes in the end for Alicia Melton will give her a very solid victory. Jared Langford sends down his final ball of this tournament, and it's a ripper. He nearly left the 7th pin again, and I think he thought he had.
Yes, I mean, that time there it did fall, fell late, but at least that counts as a strike. He finally got that strike on that left lane that he needed. And
so,
finishes with a game of 100.
He certainly does. So, Alicia Melton with her first ball. Oh, that's not good.
That is not very nice at all, and she knows it. And I think Alicia, where Jared was struggling on the left-hand lane, I think Alicia's been struggling on this right-hand lane just to get the right feel. But
she needed more there, because now if she spares and strikes, she finishes up with 97 or go down by 3.
She's down already. Jared's already won.
Yep. So that takes it to a 3-pin margin. A strike here will get her to 97. But Jared Langford knows he's there already. A little bit of a smirk, which he thinks to himself, how did I get out? How did I get there? But he did. Alicia Melton with the big finish. Can she finish off with a strike? Yep, she can. At the end, though, it doesn't matter. It is back-to-back TPL victories for Jared Langford. Takes out the Wodonga Classic and now takes out the Suncity Showdown.
Well done to Jared. Fantastic back-to-back wins in the TPL. and I don't think he believes he's quite there at the moment. I mean, the fact that he was in the final there, knowing he was against people such as Jason Belmonte and Blaine Fletcher, who's been having a great run and so forth, and yeah, it definitely is a fantastic win by Jared.
Let's head down to Candy Hertz, down on the lanes.
Your runner-up,
TPL Sun City Showdown. Congratulations, Alicia. What an elite level this game is at. And you have come out of the gates and done an exceptional job. How proud are you right now?
I'm extremely proud to say this. I've had some mixed results, so this is awesome for me.
How does an elite competition like this help your game?
Oh, huge. You get to bowl against the best in the world and show what you're made of, pretty much.
And were there any surprises across the weekend? Either maybe you surprised yourself or surprised with some of the results?
Probably surprised myself, to say the least. We changed a few things in my game over the last week, and I was very unsure as to how it would go.
Fantastic. And we're going to see you, I hope, at TPL in Melbourne a couple of weeks' time. Anything else you'll change in the lead up to that?
No.
Well, we look forward to seeing the same incredible action out there. Alicia, one more time, please give it up for her, your runner-up this afternoon. And now your winner. Congratulations, Jared. Let's give him a round of applause. What an exciting moment here. Back-to-back, exceptional job. Talk us through your game.
Wasn't my best game this weekend, that's for sure, but got a little bit of a break with Alicia. She couldn't really carry on the right lane. That's the reason I started on the left. Then I couldn't carry on the left. So, but got away with it.
Talk me through the emotion of the weekend like this.
The emotion's second to none. Just bowling with my compatriots all weekend. And every win, you want to win when you come out here. And, well, I did.
And, of course, back here again for the World Cup coming up in a couple of months' time. Oh, it's in a month's time even. Was it a good chance for you to have a go on these lanes?
Yeah, this is the only centre in Queensland where I've never actually bowled, so it was good to come here, see what the lanes are like and compete with the best.
Well, we'd be remiss to just talk about the lanes because we had an incredible crowd behind us as well today. Do you have something to say to them?
Thank you to all of them. You guys make all the atmosphere, everything. So thank you, everyone.
Well, we have one more thing to do here right now. It's been an incredible day. It's been an incredible win. But we have something to hand over to you, our CEO of Tenpin Bowling Australia, Rowan O'Neill. Thank you so much. Please hold up that trophy and be proud.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. That does wrap us up here at Sun City Showdown. We look forward to seeing you back again in Melbourne.
Thank you very much, Candy. Congratulations to you, Jared. Fantastic work down there. And let's have a look at the standings, Mike, before we head off and say goodbye, because Jared Langford now has taken himself to 200 points in this Tenpin Premier League. With one event to go, is going to be pretty hard to beat.
So, yeah, we have Jared Langford on 200, Grace in second place on 140, and Alicia Melton, after her runner-up position here, finishing on 130 pins. Points.
So Grace was on 80 points after the first event, picked up 60 today for her preliminary final appearance, and Alicia was on 50 points. She picked up 80 today after her final appearance. So it's nice and tight, and should Jared not make it to the final event, then it's going to be a really close finish. But if Jared's there, he is in the box seat.
He has to come down to the Melbourne territory in order to do that, away from his Queensland turf. So, yes, no, certainly. But, no, I think Jared's done fantastic to have back-to-back wins here, and I think he's a little bit surprised that he's standing here with the second trophy in such short time. So well done to Jared and well done to Alicia. Condolences on the loss there, but a great effort to get there against Jared, who's, as we say, King of the North.
There's one event left in 2022, and it'll be down here in Melbourne. And that'll finish off our Tenpin Premier League for what has been an exciting start to this concept here in 2022. Mike, thanks for your help again today.
Thank you very much, Tony. It was a pleasure.
It's been a great amount of bowling on our screens. Hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to speaking to you in a few weeks' time for our final events.